Hi, everyone. Welcome to Platinum Prime Life, where we explore the vibrant and enriching lives of those in their prime. I'm Linda Ferguson, and with me is my fabulous co host, Karen Nelson Bell. Today, we're diving into the topics of birthdays and ageism.
We are.
How are you doing today, Karen?
I'm doing fine, but I think that this topic is right nice because I think you just had a birthday. So it's kind of a timely topic. Did you not?
Well, we can start with my birthday. It is timely. And so I have to say, birthdays can either be felt as a blessing or a curse, depending on what the birthday is and really where you fall in the spectrum of birthdays. But my husband always says something to me, which is the alternative to celebrating a birthday, the alternative to that is much worse. So
Yes.
celebrate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
However, I just turned 70 earlier this week.
How did it make
And
you
what?
how did it make you feel?
It makes me cringe, honestly. When I was younger, I always thought that 60 was like up there. People who were in their 60s were pretty old, but as soon as they hit 70, they were really old.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so even though you're fabulous and you're 80, I the thought of me turning 70 was just horrible. I didn't want to celebrate. People kept saying, "Well, let's have a big deal because it's your 70th birthday." And I was just like, don't even wish me happy birthday. Don't even go there. So that's my personal feelings. And honestly, I still feel that way. I
Really?
don't like the thought of entering my 70th, my seventh decade. We'll put it that way. But that
Let me ask
being,
you this because I'm really curious, and this is not. Uh, we usually talk about what we're going to talk about,
yeah,
but why? What is it about being in the seventh decade that you don't like? What about it? What is it?
it yes, it just feels like a downhill slope in my mind. I know it's not true, but it's just a state of beingness, a state of awareness. So if I like get in a bikini when I'm in my 60s, that's like, hey, there's something odd about saying, well, I like great in a bikini in my 70s, which I don't. But if I did, it's still like, those two things don't go together for me at least. So, and I am actually working on if I hit a point where I feel great about looking good in a bikini again, I will share. But
Yeah, me too. If I find a time when I look good in a bikini, you know who looked good in a bikini? Martha Stewart. She wasn't
uh,
in a bikini, but she was in a bathing suit, and
yes.
she looked good. I don't. I'm not fat. I'm not thin. I'm just me, and I don't think a bikini and I are going to ever be friends again.
Well, we will just see. I mean, and it's a personal thing. For many, many years when I was chunkier younger, I wouldn't wear a bikini. When I was much younger in my 40s. But recently I've started wearing them again because it's maximum vitamin D exposure and I have my own swimming pool. So those two things go together.
All
And
right.
yeah, and it feels good to have the sun on my body. But moving on, that's probably too much information for most people. So that's my birthday. My birthday, I did not celebrate it this year, although I did have a wonderful one. And my whole family and extended friends, you included, celebrated more than enough. So, it was a lovely day after all.
Would
But
you like
now
to tell
let's
people what I did for you for your birthday?
I loved what you did. So, when you asked me what would I like for my birthday? And I said, honestly, I don't want anything. And then I thought, actually 70s, it's up there. So, you can just put together these formulas. How many days have I lived? How much money would I have if I invested $1 a day for every day I've been alive? And then I love flowers. And so I asked you to do something with flowers. And you created the most charming results. So I can't remember the exact numbers, but I'll actually share them in our show notes because
35,716 days you had lived on your 70th birthday. Well, I don't, it was 35,000 plus. I don't remember the exact number of hundreds of days. And I accounted for leap years too.
yes, you did. I mean, it was so cool. I went, okay, I'm totally saving it because it was that cool. And you had cute graphics that went with it all. So they are linked to, or you'll be able to see what Karen shared with me because it was charming. And honestly, the thing that really stood out to me, on top of all the cool facts and figures about having lived 70 years, is if I would have taken that dollar a day and invested it, and I got 2% interest over 70 years, compounded interest, meaning I get whatever I get at the end of a year, and then the interest gets added to that amount year after year after year. At the age of 70, I'd have something like $55,000 at 2% interest. But if it was compounded at 10% interest, I would have $4 million.
That really was amazing, wasn't it?
It was shocking.
I think I goofed. I think I should have been doing $1 a day.
Me too. I mean, just that thought. So that was very nice. So we will share that.
Good.
But let's actually shift this
Okay.
conversation over to you because you've
Yeah.
embraced aging. You are one of the people that you love to celebrate your birthdays, especially the landmark ones.
Yeah.
And I've known you
Yeah,
for a
the
few
ones in
years.
between are not important anymore. When you're a kid, you're like, I'm 7.5. No, I'm 7.75.
Mhm.
So when you get older, it's like you don't even tell what you are. But when I got to 79, it was like I knew 80 was coming, and that sounded so cool because I knew I was healthy and vigorous, and I'm writing the book called Super Senior and all that. So I'm all excited. I started saying, yeah, I'm 79.5. And then it was, I'm 79.75.
Mhm.
And now
Almost 80.
I'm just old 80. So I think later on, maybe when you turn 90, it goes back to being interesting each year. 91, 92 now become respectable again. And then when you're 100, it's probably 100. I'm 100.5.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
101/12.
100 plus 1 day. In fact, talking about age, and age being a state of mind,
Yeah.
on the 4th of July, I celebrated with a friend who has an aunt who is 103 years old. And she showed me this aunt's photo, and the woman looked like she was maybe early 70s. She looked amazing. Now, she
Wow.
had her makeup on, she had a wig on, but she was beautifully dressed,
Wow.
took a beautiful photo, and lives alone still to this day.
Wow.
So I was most impressed, and that honestly gave me hope.
I'm glad. I'm
Me
glad,
too.
Linda.
Well, so we're talking about birthdays. You are fabulous in everything you do, including celebrating your birthdays. But society sort of judges people. I said at the age of 70, I felt like anyone who was in their 70s was old. So then that's called ageism. Ageism is prejudice toward someone based on what age they are. And let's actually talk about that because both you and I are a little bit older and we both are fabulous, obviously. Um, but let's just talk about ageism and your perception of it. Have you experienced it and what you feel about it?
Um, First off, I believe that what you consider is so is so. I think that your considerations about things are senior to what other people like. If I consider I'm fat, you'll it'll be so. I mean, somehow the universe will make it so if I consider that.
Mm-hmm.
And I consider that I'm vigorous and healthy and young and just as can run circles around quite a few people younger than me. So that's just to start off. I consider myself to be as vibrant as anybody of any age. It just doesn't matter to me. But have I experienced ageism? I'm not sure, because you wouldn't really know, because nobody will say, well, we're not going to hire you because you're too old. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're not going to, because they know that that's not okay. But I think that twice I may have been bypassed for, I'm an author, and I write for other people. I write internet. Uh, uh, I just love to write for whoever needs writing. If you need a
Right.
blog written, I'll write your blog. If you need your book written, I'll write your book. So I think there were two times when the staff who was adjudicating who was going to be hired was so filled with people in their early 20s. I had to first of all convince them that I was tech savvy, because I am, and they didn't expect that. And I could see the surprise, because I actually, they were talking about something, and then I could give them some constructive resources. I could come up with digital online resources that they didn't know about, and I was like, okay, well, that's cool. At least they know I know what I know. Yet there were two jobs that I was uniquely suited for, and I really, to be honest, one was with quite a famous person, and I was absolutely certain that they would choose me to write, because number one, it was a topic that I'm extremely well versed on, and second of all, I demonstrated expertise and had all the so I think maybe it was ageism. I think maybe a very young staff thought, yeah, even though she seems to know a lot about stuff that most old people don't, um, no, she's just too old. I don't know. How would you know? But I think yes. I think at least twice I've been, and it relates a little bit for women to sexism. You wouldn't necessarily know for sure if you had been passed over because you were a woman. In the early days in my show business career, I was always at an advantage. I could get a job that a man couldn't get just
Mm.
because I was a woman.
Oh,
So it was kind of a reverse sexism for me in show business.
that's interesting.
When I got the job playing piano for Paul Anka, I was 25 years old, and I played as well as the other people auditioning, but they played as well as me, and I'm sure I got the job because I was a female. I just know it. So it was always an advantage uh, through the years. But ageism, I don't know. How about you? Have you been bypassed or experienced some suffering at the hands of being too old?
Suffering's probably not the right word, but definitely my perception of myself and how old I am mentally and how I act and everything is much younger than my years. And way back in the day, we're talking maybe 40 years ago, my husband and I owned a video store and we hired high schoolers to work in the store, our new graduates. And one of the people that worked for us was a cheerleader. She was this cute little cheerleader and she needed a ride home. And she said something like, "Would you drop me off around the corner? Because I don't want anyone to think I'm with my mom." And I thought, oh, wow.
Oh,
There was that, right?
oh,
Anyway, like you, using our minds, actually being very facile on the ability to figure things out technology wise and I'm not going to say on the bleeding edge of technology, but definitely very competent with technology.
yeah.
It's always a shock when I have a now a 30 something is That's usually the age now where they start to try and talk down to me about this or that. And, I teach them a few things. So technology is a huge subject, it, and it's not actually what we're talking about right now. But what I do have to say about the subject of prejudices based on your age, where you have a whole bunch of labels slapped on you because you're a certain age, because you get Social Security, and there's a certain age where you have to start taking Social Security, right?
Yeah.
It is assigned to really older people. And if you're not of that age yet, if you're not in your 60s or you're not whatever, the people doing the judging haven't lived your life yet. They don't know what it's like to be older. So they make those assumptions. And it's actually kind of a cool challenge to prove them wrong. And I don't mind taking that challenge up. So, but to constantly having to be fighting against it would be not a happy state of affairs. And
Absolutely.
thankfully, you and I both have worked for ourselves, so we're not in a corporate position.
Mhm.
But I've hired people, and I will tell you that usually younger people are easier for me to train, especially in a technology position. They don't have as many fixed ideas, so they're in that eager to learn stage. And if I'm going to be spending a whole lot of time invested in them, teaching them how to do something, I would hope at least that they're going to be around for a while. So someone who's in that kind of middle range may not stick around as long. Someone who's retired, definitely a good investment, because someone who's retired, they don't have as many pressures in life. But the guys that are kind of in the middle, that they need their job, they need to keep working. I have that. I am guilty of judging someone based on their age. Like if I'm looking at a job application, all other things being equal, I would either skew to the younger or the much older if they have a lot of experience.
Well,
So,
if somebody was thinking of hiring me, maybe they would think, well, she's 80, she might croak. She,
yeah.
if I'm going to invest a lot of training in her and she dies a year later, that's not a good. I never even thought about that, Linda. To be honest,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. If somebody ever, I thought of this. If somebody ever told me act your age, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know how to act 80. I have no idea how to do that.
Isn't that a good thing? That's a good state of affairs.
Yeah.
So, since we're both intending on living a very long time and we're both healthy. So, in the relative sense of, we have things going on that aren't perfect, but we don't need to take medications for any of those things. You just
Yeah.
had a knee replacement, so you're learning to make that part of your body work fluidly with the rest of your body. I have challenges with sleep, which have plagued me since I became a mother. And it's not necessarily age related, but because I'm older, it's definitely been with me for a while. So we've got those things, but those things aside, when you're talking about who you're dealing with, you're definitely a young and vibrant personality, and probably one of the most creative people I've ever met. So all those things are good.
That's why
And
we hang out, Linda, because I could say the exact same thing about you. That's why. That's why. That's why we're podcast buddies. So
we
you have,
are.
you have that quality, even though you're the youngster.
So
I need. I
what
need you to respect
advice?
your elders.
What's that?
I need you to respect your elders because I'm your
Hmm.
elder.
Hmm. You got to show me one who's worthy of respect, and then definitely that is there, right?
Well, I
But
cut you off there.
what? Tell me, what advice would you have for someone who is going through discrimination based on their age?
Wow. would you tell me what your advice is first and let me think on it and percolate?
Absolutely.
I'm not sure what advice I would give.
Well, when someone bases a decision on age and age alone, it means they haven't connected with the person themselves. So the person themselves needs to do a little bit better job standing up for themselves. And that could be in the form of just a direct conversation. Just, Mr. Jones, I'm applying for this job. Now, you may think I am too young or I am too old, but I actually want to tell you a few things about myself and then fill in the blanks. So, face to face, if you can get it. If you cannot get it, then a video, just a one-way video. So, there are services. I have one called Warm Welcome, Loom videos. There are ways that you can record a video message and deliver it via
Yeah.
email.
Yeah. Bomb bomb. I use bomb bomb.
Do you?
Yeah.
I love it. And I love that method of communication. Why? Because it gives you the opportunity to let the person have a sense about who you are. So
That's right.
that would be my advice. You need to actually step up to it. If you feel that ageism is an issue, one, bring it up right up front. You may think I'm too old. You may think I'm too young, but let me assure you. And then in that communication, just tick off your accomplishments or your strengths and why you would work harder if it is a job position or something that it is that you want, because you feel the need, you actually need to prove to whoever you're talking to that you are correct. So that would be my advice.
Well, that is great advice, and I think I was really headed probably the wrong direction, because I was thinking along the lines of, listen, start when you're 40 and be interested in life and have purpose and have a sense of keeping your dreams alive. And I was like going a whole other direction, like inward. What do you need to do to actually fight ageism in your own consideration?
Mhm.
Because remember at the beginning we talked about what you consider to be so is so, that it's just sort of unavoidable. So if you consider that you're, well, maybe I can get a job at Walmart greeting people because that's all I know how to do. Well, that's probably probably going to be so. So I'm saying start sooner than 70. Start when you're 40.
Right.
You might be getting ageism when you're 40 for all I know, because with the skewing of the population now towards younger, a boom of younger people. But I think your advice was perfect. My advice is kind of wishy-washy. I don't know.
Both are right.
Mental, emotional, spiritual goals, purposes. That's where my heart lives. And in super senior, to be a super senior, damn well better have some goals and purposes. If you have no purpose, you're going to be, you will not be a super senior. So, and to avoid ageism, you want to be a super senior.
Exactly.
You want to be a platinum prime liver.
That's right. Platinum
Living.
Prime Life.
Yeah,
Yeah. And we work at it. You and I both work at it. So
absolutely.
to sort of bring this right up now to here, share some things you've done as time's gone on that are new and challenging for you that you are celebrating.
I'm learning how, right now, I'm learning how to import a website from one server to another server. Does that count as something new?
Yeah.
Definitely. And I'm learning a couple of languages. I'm learning Russian and Japanese, and always Spanish. I have a German person as a guest in my home right now. And so I'm kind of like, I like languages, and I think that I would like to go to maybe Costa Rica or Panama, where the accent is pretty a neutral, because there's a lot of Spanish accents, different ones, but I'd like to go someplace neutral and get an immersive experience so that I could become fluent at my age. I remember a girlfriend of mine, Rita, her grandmother at the age of 95 was learning German. I remember visiting her, lived in a farmland, lived in Kansas out on a farm, and at 95 was learning German. And I thought, I wonder why she's learning German. And she was doing it just to keep her brain alive. And I'm trying to learn to play chess. I don't seem to have a real good natural instinct for it. I'm trying to learn to play chess, I do things daily actively to keep tabs on whether I'm alert. You promise you will tell me if you see signs of me slipping.
Okay.
You will tell me.
I would definitely bring it up for sure.
Okay, because that would be awful if you were slipping and you didn't know it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't like that. I would really not like that.
We're at a point politically, there's a time politically where that comment you just made is one where we're not going to go there. We
No,
don't bring
no.
up religion and we don't bring up
And I
politics.
didn't mean it at all politically. I meant it very personally. I have another
I do
friend that
know.
we call each other every day to find out if you're on the green side. The
On the
green
what?
side is on the green side.
What is
You
that?
woke up and you found out you were on the green side, which was mean the grass side, and you weren't on the brown side, which would be the earth side.
All right. That person, I'd be like, okay, thank you. You do not need to call me for that. If I don't answer the phone, that's your answer. That's terrible.
What things are you doing?
Well, I'm podcasting. This is the first for me. I'm
That's right.
constantly learning. So I mentioned before, I started a new business in an unfamiliar field. There's a lot of learning that goes with it. I am working with a youngster who she just turned 35 this week. I'm like, okay, but I'm learning a lot from her. So she's just all over social media and does things very, very well there. So I've taken all the things that I've learned up to this point about being online and doing things online, and then coupling it with how she's so efficient at how she gets things done. Because
Nice.
old school, as far as technology goes, typically takes a lot longer. Technology goes fast, and ways you can accomplish things with technology are sped up tremendously. So, stopping long enough to learn how to use the new technology is probably the most time investment on what it takes for you to embrace what's going on. So, if you learn it right to start out with, and you learn the short method and just get enough done so that you get the result that you need, you are to the good
I
because
think
there's
you're
so much to
absolutely
learn.
right. And we're both diving into AI
Yeah,
so that we know what we need to know to not be victimized.
right.
Whether your opinion of AI is good or bad, to know about it and to be facile, to be, like you said before, facile, to be competent at least with AI, so that you are not ever going to be a victim. I don't think you and I will be, because we're
Yeah.
learning. We're learning. We're in those
Um,
stages. Yeah.
AI will replace a lot of people in a lot of ways. And
So
that is its own subject. That's going to be a subject for another podcast.
oh, we'll
Uh,
have to do that. But can I
yeah,
just tell you what my mentor, my trainer says, that you will not be replaced by AI. You will be replaced by a person using AI,
right. This
because
is
AI
true.
has no volition. So you will be replaced by somebody who understood AI and used it, but you won't be replaced by AI.
Okay. So, without opening up a big can of worms, what the hell? What the hell? Just that statement right there, that's like, okay, that's a nice thing to say, but what is it really saying? That you drop everything so you learn how to use AI? Or that you look around for another job because the job you're in is going to
Wow.
be replaced by AI? It doesn't give me a bit of comfort. If someone were to say that to me, I would just flip them off and just
Oh,
go,
that's so funny. All right. Well, I guess we have a subject for our next podcast.
we do. I'm definitely not get along, go along, get along, go along. But the subject of AI is one that I just want to wrap up this side of things, because when we're
Yeah.
talking about age and ageism and AI, which is moving so fast, it's scarier than heck. Not in the fact that you're going to be replaced, but that you don't know where it's being integrated and you're being pushed on it, no matter what your age is, you are as young as you think you are. You're as young as your self attitude brings you along to. And Karen, you're so right when you say, if you feel a particular way, then it is so. So for birthdays, for ageism, for anything that has an attitude connected with it, take Karen's advice and think young and be young and exhibit youth. And it isn't as hard as it sounds like it is. And I was joking along. I mean, I didn't like my last birthday, but that's whatever it is. I'm glad I'm here to
Everybody
celebrate it.
listening, everybody listening is coming to your 75th birthday, because 75 is the big one, and that's at 3/4 of a century. So I'm starting to plan it already. See, I'm already inviting people. It's unavoidable. Just succumb. Just give in. We're having your 75th birthday party.
I love it. And actually, next week, let's invite people to maybe not next week's episode. We'll see where that one lands. But on the subject of AI, which is a hot subject,
Yeah.
let's get other people's questions. So if you have something you want to say about AI, you have a question about it, you want us to show you our experience with it, drop a comment in the comments section below, and we will do that. Until then, have a wonderful week, everyone. Karen, you are the best.
You're the best.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.